Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. I thought today we would talk about World of Tanks. Bit weird, right? We don't ever really talk about World of Tanks, it's just one of those games that kind of exists, but one of the things for me that I think is super important, especially when we have a look at War Thunder, is having a look at what the competition is doing and taking ideas and seeing if they would work well in War Thunder or work well in different areas. I think it's super important to play like different games, especially if you're interested in other ones, to kind of see where they can improve and also at the same time do things a little bit better. And right now, Gamescom is on. And Gamescom is obviously a yearly tradition in gaming where a bunch of trailers come out and a bunch of interesting stuff come out. And one of those was the update 2.0 for World of Tanks. They also announced a new game, which is basically just World of Tanks on crack for young kids. Looks a bit ridiculous, not going to go through it. And the other part of it, or the other game, which looked really cool, was Dawn of War 4, which is actually being developed by the guys who made Iron Harvest. And as a person who's really enjoyed Iron Harvest, it's super cool to see the fact that they're developing that. So really happy that that's kind of turning up. But let's talk about Update 2.0 for World of Tanks and take some ideas, which might be actually really interesting from a War Thunder point of view and stuff that I would kind of like to see when it comes to War Thunder. So first of all, one of the big things they're doing is adding in a new tier 11. Obviously, World of Tanks has been stuck on 10 tiers for the longest time. This has basically meant that its matchmaking is massively worse than War Thunder's. War Thunder actually technically has more than 3 times the amount of matchmaking tiers as World of Tanks does, and that basically means that War Thunder's matchmaking is incredibly superior. And nowadays, with World of Tanks, they're finally expanding it and trying to improve it, so I don't think Gaijin has to do anything better in that setup. War Thunder's balance and matchmaking is insanely better than World of Tanks. It's been like that for an incredibly long time. The other thing that is interesting about World of Tanks is actually their improvements to the hangar that they've done and kind of what they've pushed in, making it a lot more, I suppose you'd class it as mobile friendly, where you have stuff which kind of pops in and out of the screen. Once again, things that Gaijin have been doing with their hangar. And one of the cool things that I would like to see when it comes to War Thunder is the hangar being a bit more animated and also more customization involved, which would be really cool. In World of Tanks, they're not really doing that, but they are redoing the hangar, just like Gaijin did a few years ago with the hangars that we have now. The cool thing also about War Thunder is you have, of course, access to the modded hangars, which is something that I use, and hopefully at some point that can be accessed by console players, which would be really nice. They also basically added in way more kind of interface areas to be able to filter different vehicles that you have in your hangar, which once again, War Thunder has also added. Plus, they're adding an armor viewer, which, I've got to be honest, I'm amazed that there wasn't an armor viewer in World of Tanks, and you had to basically rely on third-person things to be able to get access to that, which is just completely crazy. Moving on to the next part, basically World of Tanks are rebalancing their game. What this basically means is they're making the stock grind easier. So the vehicles will be closer to their kind of spaded setup when they are stock. This is obviously positive. This is something in War Thunder we've been asking for a very long time. But just remember, when it comes to World of Tanks, it's always been way more extreme, because technically you could start off with a vehicle and then halfway through its modifications, it gets a new gun. Meaning that, let's say you have a Cromwell, for example, you could have a Cromwell with a 57, you could have a Cromwell with a 75, or maybe even a different gun. This fundamentally changes how the vehicle will play, but at the same time, in World of Tanks, that's just kind of how it goes. So your stock experience is way worse than it would be in War Thunder and then also other games. Another thing that they're adding in, which I think is really cool, is they've introduced a new map, and this new map is based on kind of a Norwegian island, or let's just call it a Northern European island, and it's a rocket base where rockets are being fired or missiles are being fired, and basically it's called Nordska. And with this new map, what they've actually added into it as well is a single story mission that you can play and get used to some of the new vehicles that they're bringing in Tier 11. This gives the player a simple but easy way of getting access to the new content, learning the new content before they actually research them out in the game. And I think generally that's actually pretty cool. It gives people a sneak peek into what is coming. Now, Gaijin has done this in the past in the form of videos, and also, of course, the dev server, but the dev server isn't as user-friendly as them bringing in like a single mission going, hey, drive these things around, you know, learn how the armor is, learn how all that stuff is, and then also kind of go from there. With War Thunder, you could actually have a single mission every update, where basically it combines maybe the 3 major vehicles of that update, and maybe you have to complete like certain little things, and if you do, maybe you get access to a decal, or maybe you can get access to the decal for that update, which is usually available in the chests, which you can buy. I think that would actually be generally pretty cool, but it's also on a new map in World of Tanks. So they're bringing in this new map, so this isn't just a way of kind of learning the new vehicles that they're bringing in, it's also a way for people to actually explore the new map before they have to play it in matchmaking. And I think that's super cool. Like, that idea in general is actually really nice. And once again, it would bring more PvE content to the game. It would bring new kind of like story stuff, which I think people would enjoy quite a lot. Another thing that World of Tanks, in my opinion, has always done better than War Thunder is kind of the personal mission campaigns, as they're called. Where basically what happens, this is something I've always wanted to see in War Thunder, but what happens is they give you like a set of 40 missions, or, you know, 30 missions or 50 missions, whatever it is, and you complete them incrementally. So you complete mission 1, that unlocks mission 2, you complete mission 2, that unlocks mission 3, so on and so forth. And once you've completed all of those missions, you get access to a unique vehicle through those. So it's a way of kind of grinding alongside the kind of standard stuff in the game, so you can kind of go from there. And just to give you like an idea of what a mission is, so one of them is the 6th mission, which they show on the Vanguard series, and it's block 1500 HP of damage while your vehicle is stationary, or cause 2,500 HP of damage to an enemy vehicle. So you can either take damage or do damage, and if you do that in a match, then that gets ticked and you unlock the next one to complete. So I've always found this system really, really cool, and it looks like they are updating it when it comes to World of Tanks, and it just kind of sucks that it just hasn't ever been there in War Thunder. Of course, you have the Battle Pass, which has the dailies, which has the specials, which has the challenges, but they're not really linked to a specific vehicle. Imagine if they brought in an event which was, I don't know, 3 months long alongside of the Battle Pass, where if you got something from the Warbond shop, like you activated a blueprint, and then it gave you access to, I don't know, 30 missions that you complete incrementally, and when you complete these, you get the vehicle after it. So they could even add in the workshop stuff where you put the vehicle together. You can see parts of its history. You could see how it's built. Like, it would just be fantastic, and this is something that, World of Tanks does really, really well. Another thing I think they do pretty well is also customizations. Obviously, with World of Tanks, customizations is a big part of its game, and also kind of a big part of its modification run through. You obviously have the marks of kind of distinction that they do. So if you are in the top percentage of players over a specific period for a vehicle, you get marks for it, which is kind of cool. But with these new Tier 11 vehicles that they're bringing in, you can also get some customization options through kind of researching them out, which I think is actually really awesome. One of the things that you can get is basically a volumetric style set of armor. You can also get a gun sleeve 3D attachment, so it actually changes how it looks. But the main one is you get a stat tracker. So if you actually complete a specific level on it, you get a little sign which sits on your tank, which updates while it's in the battle once you destroy vehicles. So if you say, if you have, let's say, I don't know, like 50 kills with a vehicle, it'll say on the sign you have 50 kills. But then if you kill somebody else in the battle, that'll actually change to 51. So this is an animated decoration that gives you a way of kind of tracking the stats of your vehicle. Kind of like how in something like CS2, or obviously old CSGO or CS Source or 1.6, you would have these camouflages which would track how many kills you actually got with them. That's basically what World of Tanks is doing with this stat tracker, and I think that's actually really cool. And once again, it would be something that War Thunder could definitely do. Customization is one of those things that is always something to be updated and pushed forward, and that would definitely be a way of putting it. So what I'll do is I'll leave a link in the description to the video, just so you can kind of have a look at it and see what's going on. And as I said, it's super important to have a look at other products and see what they're doing well and see what ideas they're doing good, and to be honest, to see how it would fit in War Thunder. For me, I think it's fun to do that. It's why I really enjoy like a lot of different kind of games in War Thunder, and well, I enjoy a lot of different games because I kind of look at them in terms of War Thunder and how it would work. As always, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. I'd just like to thank GMG Smiley, CD Beans, Chieftain Mike, EMN3 Galaxy, Tulio Pontecorvo, Brendan Quinn, Carrion Crow, Gus Irenicus, Pyman, Wartinder, Teddy, Daniel Stanton, Martinez, B. Young, Ozzy Panzer, Alan Hacker, Liam Shear, Opium Prime, Lafouche, Sem Aslan, Uncle Bean, and Derek R. for supporting the channel.